for another 5 seconds because there's usually a delay.
Yeah.
But
I can't believe
yeah,
it. I can't believe it's already episode 6. We only started like
episode
a month
six.
ago. Not even.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, it was more than a month ago now. 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't feel like it.
No, yeah, it's time's flown. That's why I try to think back. Like 6 episodes, we really did 6 episodes. I'm like thinking about each topic we carried. I'm like, oh yeah, right, we did do
Yeah,
six.
it's fucked up, man. Well, this is a big
Yeah,
episode. I know you love
yes,
Star Wars. I know you're
yes.
excited for this episode. Um,
I,
I know you're a big super fan. I'm a casual fan, but I think we'll have a good episode here. A lot of good memories.
yeah, I mean, of course, we chose Star Wars to be this week because we're coming off May 4th week, and of course, May the 4th be with you. It's like the international Star Wars holiday,
Yeah.
and it landed in the middle of the week this year. But is there any? Did you get a chance to do anything Star Wars related for May the 4th, or did just
Uh,
responsibilities
no,
take you away from Star Wars?
no, I really didn't get to do anything yet. I've been trying to watch the Mandalorian season, the newer one, but
Oh yeah, yeah,
I got into 1 or 2 episodes of it, but I'm just so busy, man. I got so many series on the go, but I just don't have the
yeah,
time right now to fill it. But no, I didn't get to anything too Star Wars crazy. I turned on my lightsaber. That was about it.
yeah. Oh right, yeah. You sent me a video of that. That's pretty. That thing's pretty nice. Where do you pick that thing up at?
Actually, that was a gift from my brother-in-law. It's from Ultra Sabers. They're somewhere out of the states, but
Mm.
yeah, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, like you send the videos where you have like the lights dimmed or whatever, and you light that thing up. It looks just like the movies.
Oh yeah, it's very realistic. It's nice, beautiful metal. It's gorgeous, man.
Yeah, that thing's sweet. I'm always jealous of that. All I ever have are those plastic ones with the tubes that come out, like the
Yeah,
different layers extend out.
you feel good swinging it around, but then you're like, oh, it's so awkward because the handle's so long, so you gotta just do it. It's neat though,
Right,
man. It's
right.
really neat. Did you get up to anything for May the 4th or what?
Well, I did work. I did work that day, but I was able to boot up Battlefront for a little bit. Battlefront 2 for a
Okay,
little
so
bit.
are you talking about their Xbox PlayStation one or the newer one that's
Yeah,
on
yeah,
PS4?
no, the old one, but I was
Okay.
playing it on Xbox One.
Okay, but you haven't got into the newer one that came out probably what 4 or 5 years ago.
No, I think I downloaded it, played it a little bit, but no, I'm too much of a sucker for the old ones.
I didn't mind the newer one. I was playing it for a little bit online, but I started playing it a little later on, and it was pretty much unfair because at the time everyone was buying the chest off of EA, so they didn't even have to rank up. They just had all the good
Oh, they had
weapons because they
a
were paying the money, and
right.
then they stopped doing it when I started playing. So I actually had to rank up, but then I was facing people
That's right
who
when you,
already
that's just bad
who
timing.
who had all the upgrades. But I enjoyed it. The story mode was intriguing. I don't remember much about it because I didn't finish it, but online play was good.
I'd always heard that. I always heard that like because it got criticized a little bit on release, but then after a few updates and a few like DLCs or whatever, it was a really good game.
Yeah, it's not bad. It might be a good game for you to just jump into and just try it out. You
Right.
might like it. You don't have to play online, right? You can just do yourself and your team versus how many other guys, and you just go through that
Oh,
way.
true. Like
Yeah,
against CPU.
it's pretty good.
Mm. Well,
So
we don't want to just talk about. Well, I know we always talk about video games here, so I don't want to get too deep down the video game rabbit hole on the Star because we probably could with Star Wars games. We already have
yeah.
talked about other episodes. But what is your? Do you remember when you were first exposed to the Star Wars films?
Yeah, it was actually do you know not the like episode 1 came out what 99 I want to
99,
say?
99. Yeah.
Yeah, so what had happened was my dad took us out of school, my brother and I, to go see a movie. He didn't tell us what movie it was, but it ended up being episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And at that time, again, I wasn't into Star Wars. My brother was maybe into it. I'm not too sure. But when we got there, we couldn't get tickets at first because it was all sold out, right?
Super hype
So
movie.
I guess a lot of people were complaining. So the manager came out and was like, "Okay, whatever, sell the tickets, fill up the theater." So what ended up it's funny what ended up happening was we got seats, me and my brother at the end, but my dad was actually sitting on the steps. That's
Oh,
how
they were doing standing room in the theater?
yeah,
Wow.
that's how
Wow. I've
busy it
never
was.
seen that in my life.
And I don't remember anything about the movie because I fell asleep like 4 or 5 times. And then I remember though, letting my dad sit down and I just sat on the steps and then ran up and down them and played because I wasn't into the movie.
No,
So
we were in
yeah,
kindergarten, you know.
yeah, like I didn't care about it, right? Because I didn't know, but I got into it later high school. Because I remember you and some of the boys were doing a Star Wars night when you guys binge watched.
Yeah.
What'd you guys binge watch? 1 to 6, right? In one night,
We binge
one sitting.
watched 1 to 6 all in one day. We did like a couple episodes, then we ordered pizza, and then a couple more, and then we did Chinese, and then at the end we watched all six in one day. This is before the doo-doo Disney ones that came out, so we that's all the movies that we could have watched. And we still were like, we want more Star Wars, so we watched the horrible holiday special after.
Oh God! But what year was that though? Like what grade were we in? Do
It
you
was
remember?
probably
That was you. You guys
late
must
high
have been
school,
grade
maybe grade.
must have been grade 9 or 10. Probably 10.
Oh, really? I was thinking more like 11, but maybe,
Was oh,
maybe
maybe because I didn't get into it because I remember you invited me and I was like, I don't want to watch that shit. I'm not into that.
all
That
day long.
remember I was like, I'm not into that garbage. I'm not coming. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. But then I got on this thing. I think it was might have been grade 12, so maybe it was grade 11 when all I did was come home after school and just watch movies. And I got into watching the 70s, 80s, 90s movies, and it just came time for me to jump into the Star Wars series. So I think I asked you how I should start it off, and I think you said start it off 4, 5, 6, and then go 1, 2, 3. So that's what I did. So that's how I became a fan of it. Um, Honestly, my first experience watching it, 4, 5, and 6, I thought were really good. The story is what really carries you to be a Star Wars fan. I love the storyline of it. 1, 2, and 3 were a little annoying for me. Uh, Anakin and his teenage drama, like I felt like it was like he was just, having problems. But later on, he later becomes my favorite character, right? So it all works out in the end. But that was my first experience. Do you remember your first experience with it? Because I know you were talking about in the Pokemon episode that you were really hyped about episode 1.
Yeah, yeah, no, that episode one in the theater was also my first exposure to Star Wars, and the reason I feel like I remember it so vividly, the movie itself, I mostly as a kid remember enjoying the pod race scene. Like as
Yeah.
at my age, we were like I said, we were in kindergarten. The pod race scene just like totally captured me in the theater. And '99 was a huge transitioning point for CGI and stuff. At the time, I feel like it was some of the best CGI I had ever seen. Not that I'd seen a lot of movies at that age, but
So
yeah, I remember being blown away by that. And the reason it stays in my memory so vividly is because I still recall going to kindergarten the next day, seeing it on a Sunday night, going in on a Monday, and we would on Mondays we would write in our journals what we did on the weekend. And I vividly remember drawing a picture and writing a story where I lied about how when I was in the theater watching episode one that I tripped the popcorn man and popcorn went everywhere. And I remember thinking, how ridiculous is that? I had to throw, like, even as a kid, as I had to entertain, I had to throw in a little extra physical comedy. And like,
yeah,
there's a popcorn guy that comes into the theater selling popcorn.
you have to make the story sound good.
I know, like, as if I'm at like a baseball game or something. Like, there's like some guy walking through the theater. Get your popcorn. Get your popcorn.
Do you remember? Do you remember? It must have been when we were out of high school. We used to go to my house, and I had the Bose surround sound, the little speakers all around the house, and we used to watch the pod race scene, right? And the
Yeah, the
surround
pod
sound,
racing. Oh
and it
my
was just
god! And then
loud as
and
fuck.
And as a kid, I remember just the original, like the cinematic cut or whatever that they released to the theaters, the pod race. And then later on, as you get older and you get the DVDs and stuff, you get the extended scenes. Oh my God. I still to this day, I love the pod
Yeah.
race. That's what I know. Like you mentioned that you like the original trilogy and then you're like a little iffy about the prequels. And I think that's how most people tend to be.
Yeah.
But I think people our age are uh, of all the people that enjoy the prequels, I think it's a large portion of them are people our age, people that grew up with them. Like to me, I grew up with those movies being released, the same as a kid in the
Yeah.
70s and 80s, grew up with the original ones. And unlike what I don't like about what Disney's done with the film series, I feel like the prequels were able to add things to the story of their own that fit within the Star Wars universe and weren't completely offensive to the original content. Whereas I feel like the Disney stuff is kind of recycled stuff that you've already seen in Star Wars, just redone and twisting the story further. Like
Yeah.
that's my biggest problem with the Disney stuff is like the prequels. I don't mind because at least they're prequels. Like they're just there to answer the questions you had already from the original content,
Yeah.
and they add a little bit of extra stuff. And it's like the Disney felt like they had to go in, and it's like Return of the Jedi is the perfect conclusion. Like they kill the Emperor, Darth Vader turns good at the end. It's the perfect conclusion of the whole story. And then they have to go. Disney's got to go rewrite it all, as if basically like none of it even fucking mattered.
Well, y'all
Like
Mac Palpatine came back.
yeah, oh, and I don't even know. Like I was so done with the Disney Star Wars a long time ago. But someone told me too, like it's not even Palpatine; it's like clone Palpatine. I'm like, man, I don't care. I don't care. I don't want to know. It's like Godfather Part 3 to me. I
Yeah.
don't want to know.
Yeah, like you're saying, it's weird. I think it was funny because those older fans who watched the original Star Wars and then the 1, 2, and 3 when they came out, they hated it. And then
Yeah,
once the purchase to Disney it came along and they were like, wow, wait a minute. George Lucas's 1, 2, and 3 were actually not that bad. Right. So now like I seen a thing recently, I think it was a few weeks ago it happened with Hayden Christensen and they brought him to a big a show where he was talking about being on being Vader or whatever, and the fans were going nuts for him, and he was crying
yeah.
because he went through so much shit with the
So
older
much hate.
generation,
Yeah,
just just reaming on him, right? And but we look at it, 1, 2, and 3, you start to enjoy it more because it really brings 4, 5, and 6 all together, like you said. It really shows you that Anakin was always the chosen one. He turns dark. He goes to, the dark side. He's still the chosen one. The prophecy really is Anakin will bring balance and destroy the Sith. So he does that when he's Vader. He destroys himself and the Emperor, and he's redeemed by his son. And you just said he turns good. So you have to go through that 1, 2, and 3, and then it finishes the story beautifully. But like you said, Disney had to change it, flip it to
yeah,
what we have now. And now I think that's why the older fans are enjoying 1, 2, and 3 because they love the original story. And now George Lucas is not involved in any of it, so they don't want anything to do with it.
yeah. Well, there's also there is a number of fans that will just take whatever too. They'll enjoy pretty
Yeah,
much whatever the content is. Well,
yeah, like
as
that.
long
That's like
as it works
that's
something.
like me, right? Like I said, I'm a casual Star Wars fan. I don't look at any of the theories because there's so many, right? There's every little thing has a theory upon a theory and a theory. Like who knows, right? Everyone's just making up something and it sounds good. But I watched them with an open mind. I I did enjoy what was the first Disney one? The Force Awakens?
Force Awakens, yes.
Yeah. I thought I had a little cool Easter eggs referring, as just a casual Star Wars fan, I pop for that stuff because I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. And then I don't even remember the last one really because like it was just like I just watched it and that was really it. That
Yeah,
what's
that's
the
kind of
last
my
one there?
thoughts.
That's when she finds out she's the Palpatine or whatever.
Is the Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker or something like that? Is that what it is?
Fuck, I don't even. Yeah, I think
I don't
that
even
might be
want to
it.
know. I don't even want to remember. Stop reminding me.
Let me ask you something though, because this confused me, and you're a bigger fan than I am, so I'm just wondering, what's the deal with Finn? Because he was able to pick up Rey's lightsaber, I believe. So he have some Jedi power? Have they said was that said in the last movie, or what's
I
the
think the
deal with him?
idea is he's not it's not like he's a Jedi or that he's like as powerful as her, but I think it's just the idea that he's supposed to be force sensitive.
Oh, okay, okay. So
He's
he's
like
not.
no, but just part of him is somewhat in touch with the force, just naturally. Like,
Oh, yeah, makes sense, I guess.
but don't ask me to explain Disney Star Wars stuff. I'm here shitting on it, but look, there's Baby Yoda over my shoulder, like, and I do watch The Mandalorian, so I can't shit on all of it.
Hey, yeah, I will say The Mandalorian is fantastic.
Yeah, there's definitely people have had some different opinions about this a few episodes this recent season, but yeah, Mandalorian I enjoy greatly. So many of the episodes too, I feel like it captures the feeling of like what I expect of Star Wars, that space western feeling and stuff like that, like where Mando just seems like a badass outlaw,
Yeah,
like bandit going through the galaxy, like yeah, it's just a great, it's an awesome show, and it's one thing that I always wanted. It's like with Disney, you don't need to go and mess with the main story. You can have good stories aside from these giant like main Skywalker plots. Like you don't need to tamper with that. The best thing they've done is Mandalorian, and I would say after Mandalorian, I enjoyed at least the second half of Rogue One, and those things are
I was
all
gonna.
fairly separated from.
Yeah, I was gonna say Rogue One is actually my favorite Star Wars movie. I
What's your
really liked
favorite Star
Rogue.
Wars movie?
I really liked Rogue One.
I can't lie. The last 45 minutes of that movie in the theater was incredible.
Yeah, that ending
Incredible.
scene when Vader's lightsaber glows up and then it goes right into A New Hope.
Oh,
Beautiful.
just the whole battle scene. The whole battle scene they
Yeah,
did incredible. It was just a great action sequence, like where you could like envision all the strategic movements of all the
yeah,
players on the battlefield while seeing all the action go. It was really well done. The action in that movie.
yeah. No, I that's my favorite one. I like that one, man. I don't care what
Yeah,
any of the old Star Wars heads say.
yeah. I think that's crazy. You take
The
that
original,
over all the original three.
the original three's acting is horrible, man. I don't care what you say, man. The
That's not
acting
true.
is.
Very good performance. That you. That's what I was gonna say earlier when you brought people hate on Hayden Christensen. I was gonna say it's funny that people hate on Hayden Christensen because Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker is no fucking Robert De Niro. Like
Yeah, that's it.
Jesus Christ. But come on, there's good acting. That like Harrison Ford is a decent performance. That's not Harrison Ford's greatest acting, but he plays the character great.
No,
And
I'm not saying
um,
whatever, but like the acting is, it's not the greatest acting, to pick
Obi
on.
Wan,
Like you
Obi
say, hey,
Wan, no matter which actor's playing it, is great acting. And Grand Moff Tarkin in the first one, ooh, there's good acting. There is some good acting.
there's good acting in all of them. There's
Yeah,
like,
there's acting in
come
all of
on,
them.
come on now, come on, give Disney some love, yo.
Well, I give them some love. Mandalorian, Rogue One, that's my love. That's all the love I got for the Disney ones.
Fuck.
How about we were talking about acting performances and characters? Who and you were talking about how much you like the the character arc of Anakin and Vader. Who would be? Is that your number one character? Who's your favorite character in Star Wars?
Yeah, it has to be Anakin. I think if you like me, like obviously I told you when I watched the 1, 2, and 3, I was like, well, this isn't that good, you know what I mean? I wasn't really, blown away by it. But then afterwards, when you go back as old and you start really digging into the story a little more, it's fantastic, right? I love the story of Anakin. I want to ask you though, obviously it would change the whole focus of Star Wars. But let me ask you, what happens if Qui-Gon doesn't die in that battle against Darth Maul and survives? Like how does that
Well,
transfer to Anakin? Because we were talking about at that time, the Jedi was really really a political cult, right? They were fighting in the war when they're supposed to be keeping the peace. Anakin was supposed to be the one to bring balance and light. When where love is a big part of that. The Jedi were being stubborn to it. Makes it hard for him to make decisions. Like, does Qui-Gon change that? Does Qui-Gon help him save his mother, or does he make it a little easier for him instead of Obi-Wan, who's more strict? Does it
Yeah,
change anything?
I'm familiar with the theory that you're talking about, and I do think that that is like kind of like the idea of like if Qui Gon survives, does Anakin turn to the dark side? Is Qui Gon the father that Anakin always needed, kind of thing? It is
Yeah,
an
because
interesting thought, and it really, if you look at it that way, it makes all the characters and how they line up in Phantom Menace a lot more meaningful. I like to believe in that theory. I like to think that that's what they had in mind when they made the movie, because it really does seem to give a whole another layer of depth to a lot of those characters as well.
yeah, because then Darth Maul would take on a way bigger role than he had, right?
Exactly. Yeah, he's essentially the one that puts the nail in the coffin for Anakin turning the dark side, whether or directly or indirectly, whether he knows it or doesn't know it.
Yeah, because like we're talking Anakin, what he spent, what 3, 4 years in the Clone Wars. He trained his own Padawan. He's won decisive battles, and then he can't get on. He doesn't get on. The council as a like all that leads up to him doing what he did. But like, does Qui Gon change any of that?
Yeah, because I mean, Qui Gon was in the same shoes. Like Qui Gon was a Jedi Master who wasn't sitting on the council. So, I mean, if anybody could relate to Anakin's situation, it would have been Qui Gon, right? So, yeah, perhaps Qui Gon, if Qui Gon uh, in Obi Wan defeat Darth Maul, perhaps you're looking at a completely different story. Perhaps the Empire never rises to power. Perhaps the Empire rises to power with somebody else at the helm beside the Emperor.
Yeah, because it's funny, even with Anakin, it's like when he became Vader, he wasn't even at full strength. Like, I think George Lucas says what he was at like 80% because he was half robotic mechanic, right?
Right.
Like, so what would have happened, right? It would have been crazy. Imagine the training, Luke and Leia would have got. It's interesting to think about,
For
right?
sure.
These theories, right? But
Yeah,
what's your
would the
what's
Jedi
your
Order
take?
still have fallen?
Yeah, what's your take on Darth Maul in that movie though? Because I know when I first watched it, I was a little disappointed because there was so much hype around him and he looked so badass, and I just wanted to see a little more of him. I don't know if you felt the same way, your first impressions of it, or what. Do you remember?
I feel like Darth Maul fills the role perfectly because what they wanted with that character was a bad guy for the one film, and then they needed him to go away after that. They didn't.
Mhm.
They barely had him talk. They kept his mystique. They made sure he looked badass as fuck, and they hired a crazy martial artist to do the action sequences, and they were able to just make a badass character that just had all the aesthetics going for him. The double first time you see a double lightsaber, dude,
Yeah.
I shit my pants when I saw that double lightsaber. That's the other thing. I had the pod race. I remember when he first battles Qui Gon on Tatooine, the first time you see him draws lightsaber, he only draws it for one side. It isn't until they meet him in Naboo that he draws the other side. And
Yeah, it's
holy
crazy,
hell,
eh?
I shit myself when I saw that as a kid. That was the
Wow.
shit. Yeah, no, I always loved Darth Maul's character. If there was anybody that needed to be in one episode to get cut in half and thrown in a fucking well or whatever the hell he fell down, I'm glad it was Darth Maul.
Oh, he's still alive in the Clone Wars, right?
This is true. Yeah, they brought him back, and that's
Yeah,
another reason why
so I'm
I maybe I
wondering.
shouldn't go all in on criticizing Disney for bringing back bring back a clone Palpatine and stuff, because even before Disney bought it, like you said, Clone Wars, they were bringing back Darth Maul with robotic legs and stuff, right?
Yeah. Like, does Disney bring him into the films? Do you think they do that if they make I don't
Well,
know if they're making any more Star
they
Wars.
have, right, in a way. They did that. It was in the Solo movie. It was the Solo movie, and right at the
Oh, okay.
end,
I never
in
watched
the
that one.
final
I never
scene.
watched that one.
Yeah, probably not worth a watch, to be honest.
So tell me a little bit about your favorite Star Wars character. Who did you grow attached to?
Through the years, it's definitely changed. I think the one that's always been the staple, and I really think he's the backbone of those movies. At least his both actors that played him's acting. I would say Obi-Wan.
Yeah, okay.
Uh, yeah, Obi-Wan's character is just awesome. He's just subtly the coolest guy, I think, in the prequel trilogy. Like I always found like Hugh McGregor and his cool, his perfectly trimmed beard. Just he always kind of fast as fuck, and super wise. He could hold his own in battle. He's a good general and a good mentor as well. And yeah, I always enjoyed his character. And besides him, as a kid, I fucking love Sebulba because the pod race. He's just a badass. I remember in the video game and the extended season of pod race, he could shoot the flamethrower out of his pod, so he's right up there. And then the third one would be Chewbacca.
You
I
fucking
really
chewy
can't
bastard.
choose. Yeah, between Chewbacca and Obi-Wan Kenobi is a really tough choice. And I think Chewbacca they get a ton of emotion out of a character that doesn't speak English with all his fucking cries and roars and stuff.
Let me get a Chewbacca roar. Let me get a Chewbacca roar.
I can't do it at all. That's the one. That's me doing the one that he lets out when those doors close on Hoth.
Yeah,
and he knows Han's stuck out there, and he lets out that emotional cry for his friend. Oh my god, so some of the best acting in Star Wars right there. Okay, we're talking about our favorite character. Hey,
Star Wars has nothing on Spaceballs, all right?
Oh, Spaceballs. I was wondering if Spaceballs was going to come up. How about that, Spaceballs? Or do you like Spaceballs more? Or do you like Family Guy's parodies?
Ooh.
If you had to choose the two.
The problem with Family Guys, I find like I love Family Guy, I watch all the time, but I find when they overdo something, you know, like when they're trying to get the couch out, and it's like, does this really have to be 5 minutes? Like I know it's funny, but like just when like the episode when he's trying to get the frog out the window and it keeps falling off the bottom of the box, and it's like, do we really have to see this for like 5 minutes?
You got to respect the commitment to the bit, though. Like I just love it's the absurdity of it and the commitment to the absurdity of it.
I know, but like I was just like, fuck, I don't want to see that, but I'll have to go with Spaceballs, man. I like Spaceballs. It's funny.
Yeah,
man.
Spaceballs. It's funny because I watched Spaceballs now, and I remember laughing to that as a kid and being like, how did I find this funny as a kid? Really, like, but I know it's a great movie. Great. There's so many moments and so many good quotes.
So we went from our favorite. Who's your least favorite in the Star Wars saga?
I mean the obvious choice, right? You know what I'm gonna say.
You're gonna say Jar Jar, right?
Yeah, that's who everybody hates.
Yeah, he's on mine just because he's like, again, it's just fucking annoying. But have you heard the crazy theories behind him?
Oh, that he's a Sith master.
Yeah, like there's some crazy.
Yeah. Oh god, there's a theory I don't want to believe is true that he's manipulating everything behind the scenes.
And I only watched the newer 3 one time, so like the big ones one time. So I don't know if this person's in it a lot, and I don't even know if I got her name right, but Captain Phasma or Phasma, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
She looked like she was gonna be good, and all I remember is that like she just died instantly or something happened to her. We never seen her again. What was the purpose of her?
Yeah, I don't know. But to be honest, maybe that's their way of fan servicing Boba Fett. Like, let's give him a badass with a helmet and a cool gun and have them get fucked up right away.
Yeah, because like when I first saw him, like, oh, you know that she's gonna be good. She's gonna do something interesting, and then nothing. I didn't
that one interrogation scene, I think, and then as soon as she sees some action, she gets her ass whooped.
Yeah, like it was like, what was the point of her being in the film? I have no idea.
The point of a lot of things.
Me too. I don't know if this is gonna get some hate. I wasn't a big fan of Kylo Ren. I thought, I don't know.
That's not gonna get hate. Everybody hates Kylo Ren too.
I know he was, having trouble deciding, the light and dark, but it was just too much, man. It was kind of like I don't even know how to explain how bad it was.
When they took off his helmet in the first movie, I'm like, oh, they blew it.
His lightsaber was kind of cool though.
Yeah. How about his? Do you remember his high pants?
No,
There's
I
a
don't.
In the second Disney one. There's a scene where he's communicating with the Force to Rey, and he's like in his bedroom, and he's shirtless, and he's wearing
Oh, okay,
pants
yeah,
like
yeah. Okay,
they go,
I
yeah, they
remember.
go 2 inches above his belly button, and then there was all these like memes. There's memes of him at the end of Revenge of the Sith or whatever, and he's like, "Give up, Anakin. I have the high pants."
So tell me a little bit about your first reaction when you heard, Lucasfilms or was sold to Disney. What was your
Well,
first reaction?
I don't. It's not like it is now where I like shed a tear every day. What is? I act like I have the day memorized. It was October 30th, 2012. But
Wow,
yeah,
it's crazy. It was that long ago, eh?
it was. See, the Mayans said that it was the end of the world, but really it was just the end of Star Wars.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, but
But
no, I did not think it was like this bad thing at first because as again, as someone who enjoyed the prequels when the fan base was split back then, I was like, whatever, I'm game for more content. I like the prequels. I liked
yeah,
Clone Wars. Like, if Disney can pull this off, whatever. Didn't know how much faith I had. At the time, I had mixed feelings about the MCU already. So didn't really know how much faith I had in them, but I was definitely willing to give it a chance.
now
That
was it
changed very
true?
quickly though.
Was it is it true or is it still a rumor? Like I again, right? Like I don't look into it, but when they bought it, I heard Disney canceled anything to do with any of the books, comics, any of that stuff. Wasn't
They
That's no
basically
more
said
anymore.
the extended universe is no more, and
Okay.
they've brought things from the extended universe back into it slowly. It's just they pick and choose or taken things and just made their own thing influenced by it. But
Yeah.
yeah, as to me as a guy who like loved Knights of the Republic and like looked at those characters as part of this larger story, I
Yeah.
was definitely offended a little bit by that. Although I always assumed that they would have already used those characters in a film. It always surprised me that they hadn't already done something with the Old Republic plot and those characters because I know you don't play those games, but there's a few characters in those in those games, like the Jedi Knight Bastila and the Sith Master Malik, who you actually are, and then the main bad guy, or sorry, Darth Revan's the guy you actually are, and Darth Malik's the main bad guy. Those three characters are all such strong Star Wars characters. I really assumed Disney would have done something with them in the first few years of owning Star Wars.
I'm assuming they probably won't put them in major films, but they'll put them in a series.
Yeah, or a show
It
or
seems
something,
it
right?
seems like because remember they got to make content, so they'll make all those
Exactly.
series,
That's
right?
why I
Now,
thought I would have seen it by now.
did you ever jump into Kenobi? I was meaning to do it when it came out, but I just so busy I never jumped into it.
Watched the first episode, was so sold on a Kenobi show, and only watched one episode because I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm watching it, I'm seeing Ewan McGregor play Obi-Wan Kenobi, but for whatever reason, I'm just not feeling it. It doesn't feel like Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't know if he's playing it different or if it's the way they've written the script, but something about it just it didn't click for me personally.
I feel like a lot of the new series too, not even just, Disney, but a lot of them. It's just so fucking dark, you cannot see anything. Do you ever feel that when like they have some of the scenes just so dark that you can't even see what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah, yeah. I, the I'm always worried about anything like when they try to make Star Wars super gritty and stuff like that because Star Wars at the end of the day is very like Saturday morning cartoony feel, and you know what I mean. Like, as
Yeah,
much as I don't want to see ton of um a ton of comedy in Star Wars, I also don't want to see too much dark tones.
yeah.
Like, it needs to be a fine balance for it to really feel like Star Wars to me. But we're talking about so much of things that we don't like. I mean, like, what is your favorite lightsaber battle in Star Wars?
That's tough, man.
Yeah, because
There's some
there's a few
there's some
there's
good
some
ones.
traditional lightsaber battles that are based on like drama, like in the original trilogies.
That's what I'm gonna say.
There's
Like,
the crazy ones where they jump right. It's almost like old school wrestling to new school wrestling. You like high spots or you like a good storyline.
yeah, I like honestly, I like the good storyline.
Yeah,
Luke and Vader, man.
Empire Strikes Back or Return of
Yeah.
the Jedi.
Empire Strikes Back. Just
Yes,
when I just love the eeriness when Vader's there. It's the perfect darkness. You can still see the
yeah,
background scenery, and then when his lightsaber glows up, there, George Lucas was perfect
yeah,
on that scene. And I also will say I also love Anakin and Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith.
yeah. That was gonna be my one. I was gonna go with. I mean, like you, it was definitely those two, and I was gonna slightly lean towards the Revenge of the Sith one because it's just the action is just so over the top compared to any other lightsaber battle you see in Star Wars. It's just
Yeah.
wild the battle there. But yeah, the Empire Strikes Back. I mean, from a film sense, like the angles, David. Look at Dan's Jedi here. I was thinking that a little Qui
I'm
Gon.
telling
Oh
you,
no, you were saying that
you look
earlier.
like Qui-Gon. Yeah, you look like
Qui Gon.
Qui-Gon.
Qui Gon. But yeah, yeah. Just the cinematography in the lightsaber battle in Empire Strikes Back is just incredible. Just incredible. The settings and
Yep.
yeah, yeah,
Tell
just
me a little
awesome.
bit about George Lucas as a genius. Tell me about him and creating this this thing that people just can't get enough of. Tell me a little bit about that. Like
Well, George
what's your opinion too on him making 4, 5, and 6 first, and then coming back and doing the prequels? Was that a genius move on his part, or
it
would you
had nothing to
rather
do with
that
genius.
being 1, 2, and 3?
I think it had more to do with money than anything.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, I don't think that he felt like he needed to write those storylines. I don't think he felt like I think he felt like there was too much money left unearned that he had to go back. And I'm sure there's a lot of outside pressures as well to go back because it's not just him making that money, right? Studios make a lot of that money.
Yeah.
It's beating a lot
Well,
of people.
even A New Hope, it almost got canceled so many times, right? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know if you ever watch any of those documentaries that came with the
yeah,
DVD package, but it's like, holy fuck, the stuff these guys had to do to get this movie out, and then you can only be so happy that it turned out to be what it turned out to be, right?
yeah. I mean, maybe I probably don't give Lucas enough credit because of my age. I've always, in my lifetime, he's always just seemed like this guy that he mostly cares about making money and merchandising stuff. But at the same time, like you said, like he really, like the way they filmed the New Hope with the models, like he really revolutionized the way
Yep.
the industry was making those action movies. I mean, after Star Wars came like all the TV series like Battlestar Galactic, and everybody trying to recreate what he was doing on film in Star Wars, and just like I mentioned earlier about how I like Mandalorian, how you get that like Western space vibe, like the way Lucas took his inspirations from like spaghetti westerns in like Kurosawa samurai films, molded them together into this crazy cinematic space symphony. Like
Yeah.
it really is like it was
It's a space
gutsy.
opera.
Yeah, that's why I was looking for space opera, not symphony. Yeah, yeah, that's like it is. It really is genius what the guy did, and really gutsy. And it's not just Star Wars. I mean, Indiana Jones, great
Yep.
film series. American Graffiti is a great film. Like,
And he loves Harrison Ford, man.
yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Tell
That's what
like
it.
does any other movie series compete with Star Wars, music? Does any like the
Ooh,
orchestra, everything?
music.
Do you know of any series out there that can compete with Star Wars? Is Star Wars at the top of the chain, or is there something better that you feel?
Wars is definitely up there. Most of the other stuff would probably be other stuff John Williams did. Like John Williams is just such an icon in making original scores for films. Like his work on Star Wars, work on Jurassic Park. Like The guy's a freaking genius. Like,
Yeah, but do you put Star Wars at the top, or do you find Jurassic Park's a little better? Do you find whatever?
I would say Star Wars is the most iconic. Yes,
Yeah,
I
for
it's
sure.
not my personal favorite necessarily. Like, to be honest, people. I mean, I don't think that people find this that much of like blasphemy, because some sci-fi fans actually prefer this movie too. But I actually prefer the music in Blade Runner to Star Wars.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Okay. Well,
but
you're talking about the old one, not the new one, right?
actually, I like the new one too. Not gonna
You
lie, I like the
sick
new one too.
bastard.
but yeah, no, but no, yeah, I would say Star Wars is the most iconic music of all time.
Yeah, that's fucking it.
Um, we were talking about how it compares to other films. What about like the other? How do you think, to you personally, how does it rank towards against Star Trek and Lord of the Rings? Because those are the other things that Star Wars always compare to. Star Wars and Star Trek fans always battle it out, which was the better sci-fi, and Star Wars and Lord of the Rings fans always battle, which is the better film trilogy. Because they
Um,
both, I mean,
I never
I
really
guess
watched too much of Star Trek. Like I watched the original one,
no
here and there with
next
my
generation.
parents. Yeah, I've never watched the Next Generation, no, or whatever it was called in the '90s. I watched the
Yeah,
original, but I always find Star Trek versus Star Wars. What I find the difference is like you said, Star Wars has that kind of Western, has the slums. It's not always, bright and beautiful. I find a lot in Star Trek, everything's, very colorful, very, they don't go to
Arrow.
the slums. Like it's not like people are living bad. I
Yeah,
think in Star Wars, they kind of, they go to the slums. It's these dirty places. People are
yeah,
poor.
that's
People
true.
are struggling. Like what I remember from Star Trek. I don't remember anything like that. I could
No,
be wrong because I didn't watch it like to a crazy extent, but that's what I kind of prepare that to, like compare that to, and I nothing to me can beat Star Wars storyline. I love it. I love the story of Anakin and how he becomes, he's the chosen one, and then he becomes bad, and then he becomes the chosen one again, and he's redeemed by his son. I love it, man.
here's what I wanted to ask you. So, in Star Wars, the Death Star is such a pivotal part of the plot line. The Empire is building this ultimate weapon. Once they have it, that'll like push them over the edge. No one will be able to touch them. No one will be able to challenge their rule of the galaxy, right? So the rebels blow it up in A New Hope, and
Hmm.
then it's under reconstruction up until Return of the Jedi, when the rebels attack again. They think it's only half functional, but ends up being fully functional, and the rebels attack. Have you ever heard the theory presented in the movie Clerks about the second destruction of the
What
Death
is that,
Star?
Jay and Silent Bob, yo?
Yes. Are you familiar with the?
I'm not. But before you tell me, because I don't know about it, tell me your comparison to Star Wars and Star Trek, because I don't know. You might have jumped into Star Trek more than me. So I've only seen bits and pieces of Star Trek, so I'm not familiar with it at all.
Oh no, I'm not much of a Trek guy myself. Like Next Generation a little bit. I've watched a little bit of Voyager, but I agree with what you say. Like the aesthetic difference is huge. Like Star Wars, you have like that rustic look of like these ships are patched together using parts that they found scattered in the junkyards. That
Okay.
same droids look similar. Star Trek, everything's sterile. Everything looks like it's in a hospital. Everything's clean. You can see the
Yeah.
reflection in it. I guess maybe the aesthetic would be similar in Star Wars to like something on like an Imperial ship would be what all the Star Trek sets are like essentially.
Yeah, and I did meet William Shatner when I went to Comic Con. My wife went there to get an autograph. We waited like
Rest in
3 hours.
peace.
Yeah. Oh, did he pass away?
Yeah, just like a week ago.
Oh, I didn't know that. Holy crap.
Yeah,
Yeah, rest in peace.
yeah,
Because I
just
was just
recently.
I was just about to say like something that I was gonna say like he was just real quick. Like my wife kind of wanted like, hey, can you write to her mom? It was supposed to be a gift, but he just hi signed it and gone. And I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
is that right?
yeah, I'm like,
Eh?
oh, whatever. He charged the
He's a-
most money too out of everybody. So,
he took
rest
a
in
big
peace, though.
he took a
Rest in
big
peace, though.
fattener on your day.
Yeah, rest in peace. He's a legend. I actually didn't know he passed away.
Yeah, yeah. I think he's pretty old too. I think he was in his 90s.
Yeah, like when they were talking, because there was some big Star Trek fans there, and they had toys from when they were kids still in the box, and they were freaking out, and they were like, "Oh, he's like 90 something, and he's still here signing autographs. He loves." I'm like, "Holy fuck, I didn't know that." But
Well, to a
no,
Trek fan, Kirk, he's like Luke and Han Solo combined into one, right? Like,
yeah. Well, and did you ever get into Battlestar Galactica? I don't know what that is either. So I've only seen the
not the
DVD series, and it has like a helmet on it, which looks pretty cool, but I have no idea what that is.
no, it's like an ugly stepchild of Star Wars. It's I don't
Oh, it's
know,
not good.
and the original one's definitely aged a lot worse than Star Wars and stuff. Like, yeah, no, not a fan, not a fan at
Okay,
all.
okay. So you're just saying you're a Star Wars boy.
Well, I definitely like other sci-fi's, but I guess Star Wars is the most like I don't know. I guess most of the sci-fi's outside of Star Wars that are really good or just take much more of a serious tone, like Space Odyssey or and stuff like that, right? Like,
Yeah.
and like I mentioned, Blade Runner. They're just much more like serious movies in tone.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's so many great sci-fis out there, besides Star Wars, but Blade Runner isn't a series though, is it? It's just one film,
No,
right?
well,
Yeah.
yeah, no, just a film. But I mean, I
Yeah.
guess there's two now. But
Yeah. That's true. All you need is a robe and you're ready for Star Wars right now, man.
yeah, exactly. This is a cheap costume for me. Borrow your lightsaber.
Okay,
But yeah, let me
go
get
ahead.
yeah the theory.
Tell me
I
this
because I
theory.
it's funny that I'm glad you haven't heard. I'm glad I can be the first one to present this to you. So yeah, so they're heroes. They blow up the Death Star the first time, right? They blow up the Death Star the first time. It's fully constructed,
Mhm.
and so they're all they killed were just Imperials, and yeah, members of the Empire. The second time they blow up the Death Star, it's still under construction. There's no stormtroopers don't know how to use tools. They don't know how to pick up a wrench. They don't know how to build anything. So a project of that magnitude, they would have to have a number of independent contractors come in and work on the Death Star. So when the rebels blew up the Death Star, all these independent contractors, probably hundreds of independent contractors, were victims of a war that they never signed up to fight. Essentially,
Yeah.
so it's essentially like, are the rebels even the good guys, or are they just as bad?
Well, hey man, you're fixing the bad guy shit, yo. You're at the wrong place at the wrong time, yo.
There's a lot of different ways to look at Star Wars. Have you ever heard of Obi-Wan was actually supposed to survive A New Hope?
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was going to
Tell me
survive.
that.
Lucas at the end thought, fuck, like his performance has been so good through this movie. I can't just have him sitting around holding his dick during the final battle when they blow up the Death Star. I
Yeah.
got to kill him off. And thus killing him off also forced his hand in creating the character of Yoda. He wasn't going to create Yoda because he was going to have Obi-Wan there to guide him the entire way through. But once he killed him off, he needed another figure there. So
Yeah.
that's where Yoda came from.
Oh, well, it all worked out, right?
Worked out in the end, yeah.
Yeah,
There's another stroke of genius there.
and then we get, Obi-Wan in the prequels, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
it all works out. That's the problem with doing a podcast on Star Wars. It's just so much factual stuff, and there's so many super fans that if you don't get it right, you're gonna hear about it. And then there's so many theories, right? So it's really a difficult, sensitive subject to talk about because
Yeah.
you don't want to get anything wrong because you're gonna hear about it from those super fans
In
that
fairness, hey, I love Star Wars. I'm as big of a fan of Star Wars as anybody probably should be. And if you're getting offended about what we say about Star Wars, like, just fuck off. Like, fucking grow up. Like, fuck off.
now you can get offended about us talking about Star Trek because we don't know what the fuck we're talking about
I'll
Star
straight up
Trek.
disrespect Star Trek out of pure ignorance, barely watching any of it, not giving a
Yeah,
fuck.
that's
And you
it.
can be mad at that. I take the comments. You can comment and shit on us. Just comment in general.
So so what you're telling me is you like Planet of the Apes better than Star Wars.
I didn't mention Planet of the Apes. I love not as much as Star Wars. It's a
Do you
real fall off after the first movie of Planet of the Apes.
do you like the Mark Wahlberg version? Is Mark
No, of
Wahlberg?
course not. No,
Come on,
no.
man.
Do you like the holiday special, the Star Wars holiday special? The
It's not a bad watch around Christmas time.
holiday special, I ran right around Life Day. You mean not Christmas? They didn't even drop Christmas. They're like they can't celebrate Christmas in space, but they celebrate Life Day, the most
Yo,
generic bullshit sounding thing in the world. Literally
anything
45 minutes to start that is Wookiee dialogue, no
yeah,
subtitles.
anything for money, motherfucker.
Damn right, anything for money. What do you think of Ewoks? Do you like Ewoks? Because that's like the classic. That's like the one that all the original fans, when that movie came out, were like, "Fucking Lucas, the Ewoks just trying to sell stuffed animals to kids." I
No,
love
you
Ewoks.
know what's funny? I will tell you this story how a Jawa plushie
Ooh, Jawa.
banked me $350. Did I ever tell you this story?
No, no.
So I guess back when A New Hope came out, obviously Kenner Toys got,
Kenner, yeah.
yeah.
Kenner got the
But
big deal.
but in Canada, I guess there was a company called Regal, and
Mm.
they had made plushies. So they have a Chewbacca one, they have a Jawa one, they might have other ones, but they're extremely rare and expensive. So one day I was at Goodwill on Friday, and they had a 75% off. So they had, I was walking through and I seen this stuff, I'm like, oh, it's a little Jawa. Looked at the tag, it was $2, so I got it for 75% off.
Right.
So I didn't pay, I paid a quarter or whatever, and then I ended up looking it up when I got home, but I couldn't find anything on it. So I'm looking at the tag and it says Regal Corporation. So I type it in Regal Corporation Star Wars Jawa and it comes up. And this doll in the package is selling for like 2 grand,
Oh,
15,
oh,
yeah, 1,500. Again,
jeez.
mine was out of the box and it had a little bit of damage around the eyewear,
Right.
and they were selling out of the box for around that $500 mark. So I put it online for $500, and I couldn't believe it right away. I was getting like 5, 6, 7, 8 people just messaging me. Oh, I'll
Holy
buy it now.
shit.
Can you do shipping? Can you do shipping? So my dad at the time was like, hold on to it and don't sell it yet. So I wrapped it up. I put it away in my closet where it sat for about another 5, 6 years until I bought my 97 Ford Probe GT, but I needed to get it certified. So I needed some extra cash. So I ended up taking it out and I went to a comic book store around us, Big B Comics.
Big B.
Yeah, Big B Comics. So I sold a bunch of my toys and stuff. And then he was like, is that all? And I'm like, no, I got one more item. And I pulled it out of the bag and his eyes went big. And I'm like, I know you know what this is, and I won't take anything less than 400. And he's like, well, these things have a problem that the squeaker doesn't work. So it had a squeaker in its hand. And I'm like, go ahead and squeak it, man. And he pressed that squeaker and that thing was squeaking all over the place, man.
Did
His
it just
eyes lit
squeak
up.
or did it do that? Oh, did it do?
No, 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 it was a squeaker. It didn't have it didn't do that. But at the end of the day, though, we made a deal. I ended up taking 350 for it, and I only paid a quarter, so it worked out. So I thank you, that Jawa. So,
Oh wow, that's awesome! Holy shit!
I will say, like, Star Wars memorabilia is one of the highest things that you can resell. After I sold that, I started going to thrift stores and just picking up anything
Hey,
Star Wars that was in the
Wars.
box, and I was only paying $2 to $3, and I was flipping them like that. So if anyone
There's
out
just
there
so
wants to
many
get
mega
into
fans.
someone quick, yeah, pick up some
So
Star Wars
many
stuff.
mega fans.
Yeah, try to get the older stuff, and if they're in box or whatever, and you can flip it no problem, easily.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
what's your rarest or most prized Star Wars item? Do you have one?
uh, I don't currently have one that like sticks out in my head, but the one that I always had that I had for years, I wish I still had them, was when Phantom Menace came out. There was an awesome line of toys that you get at, it was at Burger King and Taco Bell, I think it was, or maybe
Okay.
no, KFC Taco Bell, KFC Taco Bell, and oh man, it was awesome. You'd have like I remember I had one, and it was like the planet Naboo, and you press the button and it would open, and the
Okay,
lightsaber
I
was
know
going
what you're
on the
talking about.
inside. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. There's a pod race one. I'm trying to think of all the other one. Oh, there was one with the underwater scene in Phantom Menace where he
Yes.
has the I can't remember what it's called in Star Wars. The whatever, the transporter underwater and the goober fish that
Yeah.
it was attached by the string to the fucking ship. Yeah, I loved all those Phantom Menace. You're not Happy Meal toys, but you know what I'm talking about, fast
Yeah.
food toys. That would probably
Yeah.
be it. I also had a hilarious Mace Windu lightsaber in high school. You probably remember, and the best part about it was just the shape of the hilt is what they call that part, right? The hilt.
Yes.
When you put the lightsaber in, it just looked like a big fucking phallus, just a big dildo or something like that. It was
Yeah, because
half
his
with a round ball on the end of it. Yeah. It was like the dildo lightsaber.
Did you ever hear about did you ever see in the back credits that one DVD when he's asking George like can I get a purple one, and George is like no, but we'll see what we can do, and then he ended up getting the
And he got
purple
the purple
lightsaber.
one. You know, they say that his character, he's supposed to be one of like the most powerful Jedi.
Yeah.
He is the like apex of lightsaber dueling, apparently.
Yeah, well, there's also a theory I heard that I don't know if he was just, you know, mean to them or didn't see anything, but he wasn't fond of Anakin and his Padawan. What was her name again?
Ahsoka.
Yeah,
Ahsoka.
like in like the Clone Wars, he's a little mean and rude to both of them. Do you know anything about that, or
Uh, I'm not. I'm not super familiar with exactly. He is just a very standoffish personality. I mean,
yeah,
he's always the most like critical of Anakin. He's always the
yeah.
first one to as Anakin question Anakin. Um,
I know
yeah, I
there
think
was
it's
a
just
I know there was a big theory too that like I remember when the newer movies came out and people were saying, you know, Mace Windu Mace's kid, right?
of
I don't know.
course it's like the two black guys in Star Wars that he related, and Lando's his uncle. Lando, that's another great character. Lando Calrissian almost takes a run at Darth Vader on fucking Cloud City, knowing he has no fucking chance. Like the
No.
guy's his floors with lightsaber, he's unarmed. Like Lando's a badass. Lando's a friggin' pimp.
Yeah, that is a good character too. People forget about.
Yeah, he kind of turns to shit in Return of the Jedi a little. Kind of turns into a bitch. Like he's like wearing Han Solo's clothes, flying his plane. But in Empire Strikes Back, he's the friggin' man.
He did come back in the newer ones, right? Or was
I'm
he in?
sure.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
yeah,
Pretty
or
sure. Yeah.
he must have been in a series because I can't recall where he was, but I remember him coming back for something.
It's hard to remember.
Yeah, because it's funny with the newer ones, like we were just talking about. Like you watch them once, and then that's it. You never watch them again, right?
Yeah, you never want or think about them. God, the one in Leia, and they have her like somehow like pulling herself through space. She's just out in space with no
Yeah.
helmet on or
Yes.
nothing.
Yes.
I'm just like, oh,
But
why?
they did make her look good with the CG though.
Yeah, no, they did. And same with Grand Moff Tarkin was in that one
Yeah,
movie. Yeah,
they
yeah,
look
they can
good
pull
with
that
the
off
CG,
pretty
man.
decent.
They do
Yeah,
a
young
really
Luke
good job.
too. Young Luke
Yeah,
actually does look a little creepy when you look
but
back at.
That Luke scene when he gets Grogu, that's a fucking crazy scene too.
Yeah, yeah. I don't
That's
know what I see. That's when I started getting nervous about Mandalorian. I'm like, they're bringing Luke into Mandalorian, so that's where I was like, okay, this is getting a little too close to the main plot line for me. I want it to be like the separate thing.
have they done any? Does Do we know what Grogu is yet? Because I haven't finished The Mandalorian yet, so I don't know if we've gotten further to figure out,
Oh,
what
who
he
he is,
is.
where he came from, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Do we know yet or no?
Not really, eh? Like, I don't think so. I'm not I can't remember.
He is cute though. My kids went out as him for Halloween
Oh,
last
that's
year.
awesome. They're both on his Grogu.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Cause I
awesome.
cause remember I have a lot of helmets too, the replica helmets. I have the Stormtrooper, I have Mandalorian, I have
Oh,
Boba
true.
Fett. Yeah, I do
Oh
have them.
man.
I was gonna put them on throughout the episode, but I forgot them at my parents' house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be good. Yeah, or at least have
Yeah.
it in the background or something.
Yeah. So yeah, that you gotta get yourself a lightsaber, man.
In a robe, and then I can be Qui-Gon for Halloween.
You would actually it would be perfect. Go to Comic-Con, do that.
Oh,
Well,
yeah. Oh, dude, wait till you see my costume this year. I'm putting together a Mr. Freeze costume. It's gonna be awesome.
oh, is that what you're going as?
Yeah, that and Ghost Rider. I got a Ghost Rider costume too.
Uh-oh. Are you going
The
as
Mr.
Arnold,
Freeze
Mr.
one, I
Are
think.
you going as Arnold, Mr. Freeze, or the comic book Mr. Freeze?
God. Well, I guess the Arnold Mr. Freeze's suit isn't too bad. No, it won't look anything like that. It'll definitely look more like the animated series mixed with like some comic book.
Mr. Freeze.
But maybe
I don't
Qui-Gon
know.
Jinn too now.
Yeah, like I don't know what I'm doing for Halloween this year. We'll see. Because we now that I have a family, we go as a family thing, right? So we'll have to see
Oh,
what I want to
me,
dress up as.
me and the fiance pretty much do some sort of super villain or superhero every year. What last year we were Scarecrow and I was Scarecrow. She was shit. What the hell was she? Poison Ivy. Poison
Yeah.
Ivy. And I was, and then the year before I was Riddler and she was Two Face.
Nice, nice. Come on, man. Get back on track. We're not talking
Okay,
about
okay,
we're not
okay.
talking about DC.
Sorry. I can't help but talk about comics.
Hey,
Okay, give me
wait
your
and see.
four.
Wait and see. In the next couple years, Disney will buy them anyways.
DC too. Oh shit. Yeah. Yeah, you know, I don't. I haven't been reading comics enough in recent years to know if Disney's really had much of an effect on the comics. But
I have no idea either. No, I have none
good Star
whatsoever.
Wars comics out too. There's a Mandalorian comic out that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's
But
it.
what was I gonna say? I was gonna say, give me your dream Star Wars squad. Your four characters to take the. We'll say, yeah, to conquer the galaxy. What four characters would you conquer the galaxy with?
I'm
Think
actually
about
okay.
think about chemistry too. Take chemistry into account.
I'm gonna go with who we just talked about. I'm gonna take Mando.
Okay, Mando. There we go.
I think he's a badass. He'll do anything.
He plays good with others, but he can also be like a
Yeah.
good leader too.
I'm gonna go with Luke.
Okay,
He,
like to
al-
see
he
his
we
character.
need someone here to see the good in everybody. So I'll take
Oh yeah.
Luke.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with another ground type fighter. I'm gonna go with Django. I like Django.
Okay, Django. Headless
Remember,
or still has head?
remember in the final years of the Republic, he was one of the better bounty hunters. So I'll go as him. And
Django is pretty.
I'm gonna go Vader.
Invade.
I'm gonna go father and son connection there with two
There
bounty
you go.
hunters.
So you have
That's
him
what I'm
turn
gonna go.
good. Luke turns him good. He's on your squad.
Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna go with. What's yours?
Um, I'm gonna go with.
I should have I should have took Pizza the Hut.
Yeah, I'm gonna go in a different direction. I'm gonna take. I'm gonna take Watto, the guy that owned Anakin and his mom.
Okay.
I'm gonna take Boz Nass, the big fat Gungan guy that is rules the Gungans. And then I'm gonna take Aunt Beru and Uncle Ben and Uncle Ben and Aunt Beru's charred corpses. And that's my four.
Can I take Uncle Ben's corpse from Spider-Man?
Yeah, do it.
Hey, they're both under the same umbrella now.
Ben Lars or whatever, Ben Parker.
They're both under the same umbrella, so I should be able to mix and match.
And both are most well known for dying.
Oh fuck, that, that's
Seriously, the
terrible.
only thing stormtroopers ever hit in those movies is the Lars family.
Yeah, yeah.
They still
the
light their
storm-
house on fire too at the end. Like it's not even enough. Like you gotta burn it down. So light them on fire, shoot them and light them on fire.
When I was a kid and I first watched this movie, I was like, "Holy fuck!" The stormtroopers are the most useless fucking cough. Like they're so useless, man. But
And sometimes you see the costume move and it kind of looks really like you see like the thinness of the
yeah,
what's supposed to be like padding, combat padding and shielding. See it looks.
so like, what's your favorite Star Wars video game? I know we're gonna not stay on video game too much. I know what you're probably gonna say, but is that still your favorite Star Wars game, or do you have one that comes close?
Battlefront, Knights of the Republic. Outside of those two, because I've talked about those two a bunch, I'll drop two others. Obviously, Pod Racer and N64, and another one that I played. The first Star Wars game I played on N64, Shadows of the Empire. Start off with that
That's a
awesome
good game. That's a good
Yeah,
game.
what a level one. One of the I would say that's in my top 10 level ones of a video game ever. Starting off on Hoth, taking down the ATSTs
Yeah,
and
yeah,
ATs. Yeah.
yeah. And you gotta drive. I remember when I was playing that when I was young. I'm like, how do I fucking kill him? But you gotta wrap him around and fucking.
You gotta get with the rope. You gotta get with the rope.
Yeah, I will. I'll drop this game though. I really enjoyed this game. I don't know where it falls in the storyline of Star Wars. It probably has no non. It's probably non-existent. But the Force Unleashed. I love
Force
number one
Unleashed,
and two.
yes.
Did you ever drop into that?
Yes, those are excellent games. And I
Yeah,
think
because you could
story
change your
wise,
out. You could change your outfit. You could do a lot of cool shit in them.
yeah, you can play the whole game as different. Like you could change the skin so you're like playing through as like the Emperor and stuff.
Yeah, well,
But
you could go through as a Sith or whatever. It's a really good game.
yeah, and it's a good. It offers like good action and some good characters, and it doesn't. Plays alongside the main storyline without like dipping in. It dips in and out. Doesn't like affect it too much, and you still get to see like big hitters, Jedi's, and see Darth Vader and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's an excellent game.
are you interested in that new one that just got released or is releasing?
And I don't have the new Xbox, so I won't be playing it anytime
Oh, okay,
soon.
okay.
I really enjoyed the last one. From where I didn't finish it, but what I played of it, I really enjoyed. It's as good of lightsaber combat as I've ever played.
Yeah, it is a good game. It has its little glitches, obviously, because it's EA, but it's
Yeah,
not bad. I probably won't drop the money on it. I'm not too interested. I wanted to get that Harry Potter game, but again, I don't. I
just
haven't.
start.
I've heard mixed reviews on it. Some people like it, some people don't. So I have to, jump into it myself and see.
The fiance is an obsessed Harry Potter fan. We just got it today because it just launched on Xbox One just this week.
Oh, it's on Xbox One too, eh? Okay, I thought it was just exclusive
Just
to the newer
launched this
console.
week on Xbox One. She's been playing it all day. She absolutely loves it.
What's the price on that still? $93 with tax?
No. Well, no. After tax. Oh yeah, no. I think after tax, probably about that. You know, it's funny. I went on my Xbox and I like saw it for like $60. I'm like, $60. That's awesome. I went to go buy and I realized I had my region set to the United States. I'm like, oh damn it, that's America. No, Canadian. It's
No,
regular price as every other video game these days.
we get screwed.
Yeah, always do. Always do.
So
I don't know.
tell me here, what does Star Wars mean to you?
Star Wars to me, like probably the most important like entertainment property to me personally growing up. Like Star Wars, I've grown up watching it. I think it was one of the first things I got into. We talked about Pokemon on this. We talked about Nintendo. We've talked about Xbox. I was into Star Wars before all of that. I remember taking blank VHSs and recording the movies off TV, off Fox when they would play them and stuff, commercials and all. Like I've been watching and enjoying Star Wars as far back as I have memories. Like that story I told about going to see Phantom Menace. It's honestly one of the earliest memories I can recall.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Star Wars is just super important to me, and I think that's why I also get so heated about the things that I don't like when it comes to Star Wars. And
I
I think
think that's
that's
like every fan though. Every super
exactly. I think that's
fan.
why everybody's so passionate, right? It's
Yeah.
just it's very important because you're highly invested in it, and
Yeah, because
yeah, about Star Wars
everyone I've
forever.
talked to or read stuff on, they just go, the story was perfect. We didn't need to fuck it up, change nothing, and then Disney ruined it. So I don't
Yeah,
know. They just some people don't love it, but people who go in with an open mind are okay with seeing, like you said, the content. We love Star Wars and we just want more Star Wars. So what's your take? I know this is a little bit different, but what's your take on Ray as being a lead and this new thing in the world? Like I'm okay with it, but this new thing in the world that a lot of the male dominated series now are now getting pushed to women taking the lead. Talks about James Bond becoming a woman,
yeah.
Indiana Jones becoming a woman. What's your take on that in a sense? Because that happened to Star Wars. Rogue One has a big female lead. The three afterwards. Like, what do you think about that?
I uh I think it's good and bad. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with female leads at all. I think it's when you can tell that a studio is forcing certain people into certain roles. Like I have no problem with Ray being the lead role in Star Wars, female lead role in the new Star Wars. You mentioned James Bond. To me, it's a little weirder with saying like James Bond because James Bond is just such a character associated with being a man. He's basically a male misogynist that sleeps with a bunch of women. That's basically the character. So like something like that seems more forced. Like it seems like there's something more political or socio-political behind the choice. I like other things. Things within Star Wars universe. I noticed like when I watched, I think it was Kenobi, the main antagonist is a female, and of course, there's nothing wrong with that. But then the character goes out of her way to drop a line where she identifies as a lesbian, which again, it's there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, there's no sexuality in Star Wars. Nobody ever expresses their sexuality in Star Wars. The most you get is two characters kissing, and it happens like twice in 6 movies.
Yeah, and it
Like there's
happens
no
to be brother and
sexuality in
sister.
Star Wars. So it just seems so forced, and it's just you see through it and you see what they're trying to do, and it's like I am all for inclusivity, but like I don't know, like it just seems strange and
Yeah, like I
I don't know,
find, like you said,
forced.
some of it is forced. I know this is a little off topic, but Star Wars it did change into a female lead, which I love. I love Ray. I think the actor herself has done a good job. But sometimes, like you said, it does feel forced, like Ghostbusters. Nothing wrong with you having female leads, but when I watched it, it was just I felt they were trying too hard to be funny, and it just wasn't good. Right? It has nothing
Yeah,
to do with a female being the lead or anything. It didn't come off as I think how they were trying to portray themselves. But I'm
yeah,
okay with it. But a lot of I think
movie.
we're gonna have to get used to a lot of those male dominated roles are now going to be females. I would like to see the reverse. Maybe we'll get a male as a Tomb Raider, or something along the lines as that,
Yeah,
right? We never know, but um I like Ray. I think she does a good job. I don't know, I think she gets a bad rap again, just like Hayden Christensen did, based on
absolutely.
how the movies are written and when they just the timing they came out. Especially the
Yeah.
little boy that played Anakin, that poor little boy. You ever see what he looks
You know,
like? I'm
oh
like,
my
oh my
god. Oh
fans
god. He looks
fans are still ripping on this little boy. He had nothing to do with how it was written,
he like got
anything
an
like
acting after
like
that. Like,
he had nothing. Leave him alone. He did
yeah.
nothing wrong. Like
He's
he
got a
gave you
mugshot like a retired football player. He looks
yeah.
horrible.
At the end of the day, he gave you he set you up for the three movies that you like more than the new movies. So appreciate him a little bit.
He's a pretty annoying little fucking kid. Are
Oh
you
yeah,
an
I know.
angel?
It reminds me of like when you first start watching Dragon Ball Z and Piccolo's training Gohan, and it's like, holy fuck, Gohan's annoying as fuck.
Oh god.
Fuck. We got
Yeah,
out.
it does have the one line I do always quote anytime I'm working on anything, and then whenever the problem is solved, I go, "It's working, it's working."
That poor kid, man. That poor kid.
Yeah, that
What
poor
was your
crackhead guy.
what was your first thoughts of Hayden Christensen in those first three movies?
When I was a kid, I couldn't tell that someone was a
Well, the
bad
first,
actor.
the two, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was a kid and I went and saw Attack of the Clones in the theater, I can't remember how old I was. That was like '04 or something like that. '02, '02. So I was pretty young. I wasn't experienced enough with film yet to tell if someone was a good or bad actor. So I, as a kid, thought Hayden Christensen was cool. And then
Yeah.
Revenge of
Well,
the Fifth, I thought he was even cooler. So like
yeah,
I
well,
didn't get it at all.
he is in Jumper.
Oh, I've never seen that. Never seen that.
No, you know, it's sort of yeah.
I've never seen anything Hayden Christensen is in Star Wars.
Watch Jumper, and we'll do an episode, and we will review it.
Okay, well, I might have to extend that one to 2 hours.
Fuck. But that
Is that a
scene,
four? I
though,
assume
that
you did
scene.
four and after.
Tell me a little bit about your favorite Star Wars scene. Is there a scene that just resonates with you that you go, that is the best scene out of the whole series? You replay on YouTube. You have saved as your favorite. Is there one particular scene?
That's tough. Fuck.
Like we're talking about Hayden Christensen, the scene when he becomes Vader and he's getting the suit on, for that's a good scene too, right? So there's a lot of
Oh,
great scenes.
people shit on that one moment. Like my one buddy always mocked that moment where he goes and he goes, no. But I know what you're saying.
Uh,
Yeah, I no, I always love that scene too. And yeah, putting the suit on, it's like you
yeah,
hear the fucking air go seal in his mask and stuff. Yeah, it's a great scene. I mean, for me, I'm gonna say pod race.
yeah. I figured you were gonna say that.
Besides that, though, I would say the first time you're inside the cantina in A New Hope. That's the most. That's the thing I associate Star Wars with most. Is like the first time they show up at Mos Eisley, Luke and Obi-Wan, and going into the cantina, chopping off Buddy's hand.
Yeah,
Buddy's like, he doesn't like you. It's also one of the few times you see somebody get cut by a lightsaber and there's blood, because the whole
yeah,
idea is like the lightsaber is supposed to cauterize the wound, but in that scene you see Buddy's severed arm and there's blood.
yeah. I also seen actually. I don't know if it's a theory or if it's true, but there's been something going around the internet lately of like, why don't they ever do this when they're doing a lightsaber battle? When you're battling, you turn it off and then you turn it back on and then you kill the person because you can, you know what I mean?
Oh,
I
I see
seen
what you're
that.
saying.
Yeah, but I actually seen, I don't know if it's in the comic books or maybe it's in one, the novels that don't exist anymore, but it was actually a truce between uh the both sides that's a sign of weakness if you battle or fight like
uh,
that. So that's
it's like
why
an
they don't do
unspoken
that.
rule.
Yeah,
Right,
so
right.
that's why both of them don't do it. So that's a little interesting right there. But also another question I want to ask you: what Star Wars character do you think identifies as the same personalities as you? Is there someone that you see yourself
Ooh.
as a character, or like you would be like who? Like right now, we know who you'd be by looking at you, but like I'm just saying.
Oh god. I don't know, maybe I'm being self-deprecating, but I want to say C3PO because I feel like I would be as nervous of a wreck as C3PO is and all those. Like I would just be the guy, be like freaking out, be like, "Don't do this, we're gonna die, please, God, we're screwed."
Hey, you are tall and stuff, so it would work. Yeah.
I don't have a homosexual life partner like or heterosexual life partner like he does in R2D2 though.
Yeah, that's true though. Is there one if you could choose one Star Wars character to have dinner with, Who would it be?
Oh, it would be Darth Vader. It would be like that. I don't know if you've ever seen the Robot Chicken like gag, but you know, in Empire Strikes Back, where they show up on Cloud City, and and Vader has a trap, but he's has a dinner table set for them. He invites them to dinner, and then Vader shows up. Remember that? I would just like to be there when
I don't remember Robot Chicken
they
very well.
oh man, Robot Chicken. It's like when you see what happens when the door closes and they sit down, they actually have
Yeah.
their meal and stuff. And then,
Oh,
that's I would want to be there for that meal.
that meal? Fuck. That you
How
want
about
to hear?
you?
You want to hear that breathing the whole time, yo?
Yeah, exactly, and see how he's like gonna put his food in and stuff. Or I would eat,
I
or
don't.
I would shit that with Yoda that he's stealing from Luke on Dagobah. Like it looks like little fucking breadsticks or something.
Yeah, I don't know who I choose because there's so many. I'm gonna go with like Palpatine or something because he's been around forever, man. He would have some crazy shit, man.
A lot to say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like you could probably he would tell you some crazy shit, man.
and he's played both sides.
Yeah, like
He's got stories from
he
both sides.
and like I think do people forget how powerful that guy is?
Yeah, man. He wanted them to forget for a long time. He kept it
Yeah,
undercover for a long time. That's another
he
thing
did.
too, just to be that powerful with the Force and be under the nose of all those Jedi for that long, and they have no idea.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Another one of the better acting performances in all Star Wars. Did you know that that's the same actor all the way through?
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah, that's
I know
pretty
that like
cool,
as
eh?
a kid. Yeah, watching the prequels as a kid, I had no idea that that was the same actor, and then I remember finding out later, like, holy shit, really? Like, holy damn. So yeah, I remember been pretty damn old in the original ones, but I guess he wasn't. I guess he was a fairly
Yeah.
young guy with prosthetics.
That's one thing I like about the Disney ones. They bring back the previous characters to play the role. So that's always nice for those guys to get back into the series for,
Yeah. Well,
whether or
could you
not it's
imagine?
just a cameo or such.
Imagine how pissed you would be if they brought back an old character, they recast him. Like, here's Han Solo again. It's like the different
Yeah.
actor. Like it's like Tom Hanks.
What do you think about Han Solo's death?
um,
Did you did you see it coming? Because I know when I was watching that, I knew it was coming. But
he
like,
had said beforehand, like, I'm not doing anything more. Like, I'm just doing this one and I'm done.
yeah, like
So
what do you think of that?
everyone kind of knew.
Were you sad? Like, were you sad that
Oh,
you're not going to see him again?
no,
Or
'cause I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, I approached that movie with an open mind, but by that point in the movie, I was already out. I was done, so I didn't care. Didn't care. I didn't care. I
come
remember being
on,
angry
man.
at the theater. I was angry at the movie theater when I saw that. I was like, I'm like orphan on a desert planet, stolen plans in a droid, ultimate weapon in space. I'm like, I've seen this before. This is bullshit.
Oh god.
I was that's how I was.
They're trying to appeal to the older generation
Well, I
along with
don't
the
need
new.
fan service. I could, if I wanted that, I could just watch New Hope for the 10,000th time my underpants and fucking Doritos instead of paying all that money to go to the theater and watch them recycle it with fucking worse characters.
Oh, you're a fucking son of a bitch, yo.
I'm a grumpy
Appreciate
old Star Wars fan.
appreciate the hard work Disney puts into it, all right?
Hey, my fiance is about to go through what I went through because she's enjoying this Harry Potter game and stuff right now, but they've already announced this Harry Potter TV show. She's about to feel what it's like to have something that you value so much as a child be defiled in front of your face.
I didn't hear about that. That might be all right for a little bit. Is it the main actors are coming back, or is it all
I
new
don't think so.
storyline?
I can't imagine. I can't imagine because how would they pull that off? Like
Yeah, the money that they would have to pay those guys would be
after television,
incredible. So,
maybe
and-
no more. I'm sure.
yeah, I guess we'll start trying to wrap this up. But what do you want to see ongoing? Going forward for the Star Wars universe. What would be your ideal? You know, let's say this. Um, George Lucas hires you to direct episode 7 instead of Disney. He goes, "Hey, we want to come up with a new movie. What would have been your idea going forward?"
Well, it wouldn't be episode seven. I wouldn't even call it episode seven. It would have nothing to do with Skywalkers. It would have nothing to do with those plot lines. I would have probably have if I was going to do it on a timeline where it happened after all the other movies, I'd probably have it have very little to do with Jedi's and the Force at all.
No.
Um, Other than that, I would probably be looking at doing stuff before the prequels, like I said, an Old Republic kind of thing. But I just enjoy, for really, it's hard for me to think about large Star Wars plots and movies that I would enjoy. I just like to see more stuff like Mandalorian, where it's good characters, good entertaining storylines that don't have to be connected to the main plot, don't have to be like these galaxy defining moments. They just need to be important to the characters that you're invested in the show. And yeah, just things that expand on the Star Wars universe while still staying true to it. And I mean, I'm sure I'm saying this kind of things that everybody says, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that's
So
about it.
so if you could, would you erase, you know, 7, 8, 9 from history?
Yeah. In
So
fact, even if you
if you
gave me the
buy
choice where I
if
had
you
to,
purchase Disney from, let's put it, if you purchase Disney, I mean Star Wars from Disney today, would you delete that whole entire,
yeah,
you
I
know?
would literally publicly come out and be like, "These were trash. This company made this for money. You guys, like, we don't even need to acknowledge this." And I would continue going with the stuff like Mandalorian. But yeah, no. But even if you gave me in a fantasy scenario where I could make those movies disappear like they never happened, but I would also lose the ones I like Rogue One, Mandalorian, I would still do it. I would still delete those movies.
I always want to ask you this too, so let me ask you this. People don't know when we were, I wanna say we were out of high school, we must have been, I wanna say 18 to maybe early 20s. You had a big Marvel toy collection, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Do you still have those or no?
absolutely, I do.
Okay. I wanted to ask you because I know you're in the Star Wars. I might have asked you back then, but why did you do Marvel instead of Star Wars? Is there a reason
I
why?
think at the
Or
time, the at the time there was a specific toy line I was buying. I was buying all Marvel Universe line, the
Mhm.
three-quarter inch figures.
Yeah.
So they were all being released while I was collecting Star Wars. It was post prequel trilogy, pre Disney trilogy, so there wasn't as much figures. So I'd be mostly going to stores buying ones that were older figures made from the old movies. So it was just a harder thing to collect. I would have had to go on got stuff from collector stores, flea markets, rather than like the Marvel ones I could walk into Walmart and buy.
Yeah, but the grind would have been nice for you to go to the flea markets, the yard sales, and when that's the good thing when you go and you finally find the piece you were looking for. It feels really good to finally pick that up, man.
And you know what? I was saying how much Star Wars is like my favorite like media creation stuff, but Marvel would be right up there. Marvel superheroes is right up there for me.
Yeah.
So it
So
would be tough between those two.
hour and a half in, we could still go talk about Star Wars memories, I think, all day. But is there anything else you wanted to ask before we, wrap this up?
There's one thing I got to give tribute to because I know David and our other buddy Ryan. He'd be pissed if I didn't mention it at some point. And I should have said it when we brought up the marathon, but it's the legendary nod. It's what ruined watching Star Wars with other members of the boys. If you remember in Family Guy, the moment where Luke is about to be thrown into the Sarlacc pit, and they're nodding at each other,
Yeah.
R2D2, and then Family Guy just keeps going on and on. But when we watched that film, we did that marathon. It just became a game between us where if you made eye contact with somebody else, you would nod at them, and then they would have the nod, and they'd have to make eye contact with somebody else and give it to them. And it literally just became this game where we were even watching the movie. We were just trying to pass off this nod to each other, try
Was there
not to get the nod passed off to you.
was
So
there
I just got to
okay.
send this to Ryan and David.
Was
Oh
there
shit! Hold on.
who was there? Was it just you three or was your
And my
ex at the time? Oh, your sister. Okay. Oh, you froze. He froze. He fucked up his shit. But anyways, for everyone out there, I want to say thank you for watching. Please put your top four Star Wars squadron below.
Oh,
Oh, you're back?
hello.
I
Yeah,
was
I
just
lost
closing up.
connection.
I was just closing up. So let me continue here. So yeah, so anyone out there who watches this, please put your top four squadron below who you would you know, take the war with you. I'm gonna throw this on Dan right now for next week's episode. I thought we'd go a
Ooh.
little different. We have something special being planned, but that's gonna take some time. So we won't announce that. But for next week, we're gonna go a different route. And I think we're gonna go our top 10 albums of all time.
I was hoping you were
So,
gonna say something like that. I was literally saying to the fiance earlier. I'm like, I hope Chris has some time for like top five like hip hop albums or something in music like that.
yeah,
Oh,
we'll
albums
go
in
top we'll
general,
go
all music.
top 10 open albums of all time. So we'll do that for next week. I think that will change it up a little bit. We're gonna start to try to get away from some video game talk for a little bit and then open up for other things that we love. So I want to thank everyone again. I know Dan wants to thank everyone again for tuning in for our Star Wars episode. As a casual fan, I apologize if I didn't know as much as the super fan over here. But if you want to close it out, Dan, go ahead and close it up.
Yeah, well, to closing, I just hope everybody had a good May the 4th and enjoyed Star Wars. I hope everybody went out and supported their local comics book store on May 6th for Free Comic Book Day. And yeah, I mean, that's really all I got left for you other than May the Force be with you.
We'll see you next week for our top 10 albums of all time.
See you next week.